Hello and welcome to Experience Recovery Conversations. This round of Experience Recovery Conversations, as we come close to the end of lockdown and coming out, is really starting to reflect on the great things that colleagues in the workforce that are represented by CIMSPA do, but things that are much more different than the traditional four walls of a leisure centre. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Gavin. So Gavin, just give us a quick overview. Tell us who you are and what you do, please.
Yeah, thanks, David. Yeah, so my name's Gavin Brown. So basically, my role is Head of Active Education at Active Tameside. So it basically obviously manages the active education programme on a daily basis. And it's basically we provide and offer primary schools a variety of programmes and services across Tameside and also into the High Peak as well, and some schools across Derbyshire. And basically, the overall aim is to give children just the best start in life, really, give them some life skills that they can take forward when they leave primary education to basically live a healthy lifestyle moving forward.
Absolutely. Well, I got to talk to Sean Higgins, who heads up the service that you work for, and the breadth of the things that you do is just incredible. So just give us a view, sort of before lockdown, what sort of things did you do? What was your working week like?
Yeah, so we have in terms of the active education programme, it's basically consists of four programmes. So we've got a coaching in schools programme. So this is basically PE education for primary schools. So we have 25 sport and dance coaches who deliver into around 60 primary schools across Tameside and the High Peak. And obviously it's around high quality PE. So it's obviously we assess children half-termly, which obviously discuss with the teachers and obviously their progress and attainment. And it's all around learning the key skills within the national curriculum. So it's not just about going in, the children have loads of fun and that's it. It's about obviously learning those key skills. So for example, we might do a term of attacking and defending or sending and receiving. And we can use a variety of sports to deliver those key skills. So to say we're delivering attacking and defending, we could use football, hockey, basketball, a variety of different sports to deliver those key skills. And we also obviously cover the whole curriculum as well. So obviously coaches are basically qualified to deliver gymnastics, and we also have 5 or 6 dance coaches as well, specific dance coaches who basically drop in into different schools, different half terms, just to basically cover the dance curriculum as well. And within that, we also have a few basically have a fitness tracker test which measures the impact of our programme, which consists of 4 basic field-based tests that children do 3 times over the school year. And it's just basically a good way of finding out how children have improved their fitness over the year. So that's one really good thing that schools have enjoyed. Another benefit of the Coaching Schools programme is they also get access to the Cook for Life programme, which is with our partner, Children's Nutrition Team, who basically work with 10 families per school. And they basically just give them some, obviously the key skills, nutritional skills of cooking, and basically how to do that at home as a family, which has been taken off, and obviously schools absolutely love that as well. And then obviously within the programme as well, we also don't just deliver the education, we also, part of the offer is after school clubs. So the main aim for that is obviously trying to target those children who don't necessarily do much sport. So the inactive children, trying to get them more active. And it's looking to do non-traditional sports, so such as like try golf, archery. So it's getting some different sports that children probably haven't tried before. So that's the aim of that. And then from that, we try and basically feed them into local clubs through our we have a Tameside sport and physical activity network, where we try and feed obviously those children into local community groups and clubs to try and basically, like I said earlier, so they can live a healthy lifestyle moving forward. So that's the first one. Then we've got Bikeability, which is basically a cycle road safety programme for year 5 and 6 children. So it's just giving them the skills to basically be able to cycle safely on the local roads near school.
So just forgive me, Gavin, just checking. For my age, I think it was the 2nd certificate I ever got, and it was called the Cycling Proficiency Badge.
Correct. Yes, that's absolutely spot on. Yeah, it's exactly the same as that, really. So it's it's cycle proficiency. I did that as well. So basically for year 5 and 6 children, and what we also do is we try and obviously be inclusive if possible. So we also take a fleet of bikes and helmets for those children who might not necessarily be able to afford one or have one, to try and obviously engage everybody really and get them through the course. which is obviously really, really positive. And then a bit of a spin-off from that as well, because we were finding there were a lot of children who weren't able to ride a bike when we were coming to kind of deliver it, which obviously was a shame. So we put a program in place called Little Bikers, which is like a balance bike program for key stage 1 age groups and early years. So it's been really fun. Obviously, it's just the small balance bikes, and giving them loads of different games and fun games to try and obviously get those balancing skills. So when it comes to being able to ride a bike, they're more confident at it. So that's been really positive. And then the final program really is school swimming, which I know Sean touched on when you spoke to Sean. Is also obviously every school in Tameside obviously swims at one of our pools at our centres, and obviously doing the national curriculum aims for swimming. So quite a rounded program, and obviously a lot of services that we do offer to schools. And
I think what's really interesting is almost, I don't want to use the term pathway, but it feels like it. The PE, the fundamental skills. It's not about sport. It's about, as you said, it's about learning to defend, learning to attack, learning to pass, learning to find space.
You
can apply the sport, which allows people to, if they want to take that pathway from physical education with the fundamental skills, go to a club, etc., through that pathway. I think it's just a really nice way of understanding the difference between physical activity and sport, which I think setting that at an early stage is really interesting. So I guess lockdown changed quite a lot of what you did.
It did.
But there must also have been support. People must have still needed the services you offered. You know, the kids of workers who were in occupations where they still had to go to work. So what happened in lockdown?
Yeah, so in terms of the coaching schools program, so that's continued throughout. So obviously our sports coaches are also contracted to schools. So schools are obviously using our staff to help basically for the key worker children and the vulnerable children who were still attending school. So in the first lockdown, it was very challenging. So because obviously there was obviously social distancing was in place then within lessons. So it was a case of coning out areas that children had to stay in. Obviously not using hardly any equipment, so a lot of it was to basically start off with was just working on fitness challenges, their own skills, and it was quite challenging, I think, to begin with. Obviously low numbers, and then also it had to be like the Joe Wick style stuff, really. So that was how it started. But then what we also did alongside that is we tried to do a lot of online content as well. So we did some weekly PE sessions for obviously those children to take part in at home. And I know a lot of schools used it in that Google Classroom and loads of other stuff that they have obviously to send home to children to take part in at home. We've got obviously children involved other ways in terms of some take-home resources as well. So just some like PE take-home worksheets that they could work on. So that continued really, and we also tried to basically try and engage obviously when they came into bubbles as well. So when they came back to school into bubbles, we obviously that was a little bit more easier because we could do a little bit more with them. Obviously, risk assessment is in place around cleaning the equipment between bubbles and that kind of stuff. But we also did some like intra-school competitions within the bubbles as well. So try and keep that competitive element going as well. And one thing we did organise as well, which was really good, was a virtual dance competition. So each school who obviously entered within their bubbles obviously learnt a dance and recorded it, and then that got sent to our dance judges. And then what they did is they did like a big Zoom meeting for the whole of the schools entered and showed first, second and third places videos through the Zoom. Which was really, really good. It was just good to see so many children on the Zoom meeting, to be honest with you, and kind of watching all the dances that children did. So that was a really good way of engaging them. And then, in terms of bikeability, obviously swimming and little bike was kind of stop-start really when schools was obviously shut fully. We had to obviously stop those services and then continue when they started again. But the coaching schools one was the one that's basically ran throughout. And what we also did as well is in terms of over the holidays, schools needed support over the holidays because there's a bit of pressure on to kind of stay open to try and obviously keep children in school. So for those key worker children and the vulnerable children. So it was one school in Mosley actually particularly that we managed to basically keep that school open because we used our sports coaches to run like a holiday provision for those children. So it was massive for them really, and the feedback we had from the back of that was brilliant.
Excellent. And as these conversations have progressed, what we found through doing the stuff in lockdown, through having to find different ways of delivering things, that actually we've started to find things that could be more effective, more efficient, and actually make our breadth wider. So, what are you going to sort of take forward as we come out of lockdown to make your service more efficient and effective?
Yeah, so I think in terms of the online content and the resources that we've created for children at home, I think we're going to continue with them. So it's been really positive from schools, the feedback on that. So that's something we'll definitely continue. I think in terms of the holiday camps as well, which we've just recently ran over February, we had obviously children bubbles of like 15 children, and the staff were basically saying it's probably moving forward, it's probably a good thing to keep that, because you get that consistency with the children throughout the week. And build relationships with those children, rather than usually it's normally 60 odd children and 5 coaches and everyone's just doing their own thing. So that's something that we probably will do, continue sticking to those bubbles within holiday camps.
Can I ask, Gavin, just as a matter of interest, because I coach hockey, I've got a hockey club that I run, and it is really interesting when you start getting that dynamic where the kids really do know each other and start trusting each other and start supporting each other. Is that why your coaches like this sort of 15-person bubble?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think it is. The feedback I've had is exactly what you said. They get that relationship with the children, and do you know what I mean? They bounce off each other, good rapport with the children, and as well, the children kind of meet new friends within that bubble, and yeah, like I said, they work together really well. And I just think it's moving forward. It is something that we'll definitely do. And one other thing that we're looking at the minute is in partnership with Tameside School Sports Partnership and another local company called Active Angels, who are like a mental health wellbeing provider. We're looking at coming into partnership with them and looking at running a program called, it's going to be Active Mind, Active Body. So it's basically looking at offering, we're going to target a few schools to begin with to see kind of the interest, but we're looking at doing some kind of, because obviously children missed out on that kind of social interaction, haven't they, with friends. So looking at doing like a program where it's going to be all around team building in terms of the physical activity side of it. So obviously getting those children to work together again, all the social skills. And then also in the afternoon, we'll then work on do some work with Active Angels in terms of the mental health well-being. So it'll be like, obviously meditation, breathing techniques, all that kind of stuff, and well-being. So so that's one thing we're going to look at, and hopefully that will take off and something that we'll try and continue moving forward. Because obviously, like mental health's massive at the minute, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think that's a really interesting point. And actually, you know, if once the program's up and running, if you want to do one of these conversations on that program, I'd love to have some feedback, because I think that resilience piece around young people is so important. My 14-year-old, you know, she's a strong kid, she's a good girl, but there are moments when she just needs that extra lift on that resilience side of things. So doing that is excellent. Good. Okay. Well, look, you've got a couple of minutes left. So what's the one thing you think that you've really learned that's been a bit of a surprise during the pandemic that actually I didn't expect that, or I didn't think that would happen?
Good question. I think in general, it's just the way just praising my staff, really, the way they've kind of adapted through the situation, because obviously they've worked throughout, and they've obviously worked on the front line in terms of with obviously children, primary school children throughout, obviously working closely with schools. It's just the way they kind of adapted to the situation, and obviously falling in line with our risk assessment, the school's risk assessment, and obviously the government guidance. So it's been quite challenging for those obviously staff working on the front line, really. So it's just the way that they've adapted to that situation, and not just obviously going in, delivering, and then going home. It's all the extra stuff that's gone behind the scenes in terms of, like I mentioned before, the online content and staying after school to record videos to send home to children, and just the way they've gone above and beyond, really, to support the schools. And I think that's what schools really like about us, to be honest with you, that we're, do you know what I mean, we're not just there to do P and go home. We're much more than that, really. We offer a rounded program, obviously just trying to grow those relationships within schools, really.
That's brilliant, Gavin. You often hear people talk about us being a people-centered sector, and you've just summed it up so well in that last 2 minutes. So Gavin, thank you so much for your time. Really interesting talk, and I'm sure I'm more than happy to have that conversation again around the Angels piece that you're doing.
Brilliant, yeah.
Fantastic piece.
Thanks a lot, David. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for your time, Gavin. Take care. Bye-bye.